Hello everyone and welcome to A Slice of My Life. This Slice of My Life is a follow-up review video on the Aventador Hardcore Stainless Steel version by Stealth Spinners. And if you guys look closely, you'll actually notice that from the spin itself, you can tell there's something a little bit different about this spinner, and that's because I've put brass inserts in those slots there, which in my opinion looks really cool. These brass inserts, if you guys are wondering, are different from the ones that were featured on the Spin Star spinner that I got from Taiwan, you know, from Darth Vapor, Tom Chuang. But these are actually known as spacer beads, you know, used in DIY jewelry. So just get 1.5mm by 6mm spacer beads in brass, and these are it. Apparently they have it in different variations as well. I think you can find copper if you guys are copper fans, but there are stainless steel versions. There are also, I think, already pre-patinaed brass versions. So these are the standard brass versions, and I was actually thinking about trying to do a force patina on these brass beads, then coating them and then using them in tritium slots. But looking at the fit right now, I think that if I were to do a force patina, it might create too thick a layer, so it would probably scratch off when you're actually installing it. Another thing I want to share with you guys is that I had to use NOA 61, which is that UV glue, to actually hold these in place because it's not friction fit. Alright, so I thought I would just share that with you guys. And when I test fitted it, I thought that it looked super good, like it looked crazy awesome, so I decided to just bling this fella out. And after sharing pictures of it on the Stealth Spinners page, I believe it was a Stealth Spinners page because I shared a picture of this both on the Daily Fidget and Stealth Spinners. If you guys are not on the Daily Fidget, if you guys are not on the Stealth Spinners Facebook page, please check the links in the video description because they are awesome places to be. Very nice community over at Facebook. But someone actually commented and said that it looked like Optimus Prime, and I was like, yeah, I know, right? I know. So it just really is pretty cool. I really enjoy it now. Alright, that's just the customizing options that I actually went ahead and did. And if you guys want, and if you're actually able to procure, you can actually fill these up with tritium instead. So just get the 1.5 by 6mm tritium vials and then fill them up. So that's literally 6 on one arm. So that makes 18 on one side, which makes 36 all over the Aventador. In case you guys are wanting to go ahead, that'll be 36 trits, okay? 36. So that's actually gonna be quite expensive. Alright, so now I'm gonna talk to you about what I feel about the Aventador spinner now. All of you that have watched my original initial unboxing video and my first look, even Max of Stealth Spinners himself actually watched that video, and everyone, including Max, noted that this is considered a defect because you can see it wobbling. So I'm gonna show you guys what I mean by it being unbalanced. It's not really fair to do that now because I've already put the brass inserts, but technically I fitted every single arm with the same amount of brass beads and also roughly about the same amount of glue. I can't really say that I've used exactly the same amount, but you know, it's a huge imbalance. So once you lift it up, it always wants to drop down to one side. See, so it's always heavier on this arm, this particular arm. Okay, so I will just move this arm up here. Okay, and notice how this will just drop to the bottom again. Look. So it's right here, see? So mine was actually pretty unbalanced. If you guys refer to the original video, you'd see that it is actually wobbling all the time. There's like a little judder going on. Not sure if you guys can tell from this camera, but look at the reflection of the light on the button and you'll see that it's juddering. Something that I cannot do with my bare hands, you know what I mean? So that's a little bit unfortunate, and I didn't even contact Max, so I didn't even ask him to send me a new one because this was a gift from him, and it's not fair in my opinion if I were to say, hey, you know, you sent me this and it's defective, send me another one, because I didn't purchase it, and I'm thankful enough already. But with all of that said, after putting this guy on my EDC for the last week, I'm gonna say that it has grown on me. Now at first, I wasn't really such a fan of the design. I can totally see how it appeals to people who actually really enjoy this very aggressive looking stealth bomber kind of design, or the Aventador, like, you know, named after the Lamborghini model. You know, it's really for those who really enjoy this kind of like very cool, very aggressive looking kind of spinner. For me, it's alright. The design is okay. I've never really been drawn to the Stealth Spinners kind of design. You know, it's either gonna be too simple or a little bit too much for me, like the B2 for example, or the Spider. All of those are a little bit more on the aggressive side. And then, for example, the Chunk that was recently released, that Chunk is a little bit too plain, you know, in my opinion. But they are what they are spinners, and even though they don't appeal to me, I'm pretty sure it appeals to a lot more people out there because a lot of people actually enjoy this very fierce looking kind of design. Now, as a spinner itself, this is actually a pretty darn solid spinner. What actually adds on to that is the price of this. The price point is actually 55 USD. And if I'm not wrong, at one point of time, it was going for 45 USD. And 45 USD means this thing really is a steal. I mean, look at that, guys. It's very nicely machined, virtually no hotspots all around the important parts. I mentioned before that I have some sharp edges here, but I've never once encountered a point when I actually had my finger out here. So even if I really wanted to feel that sharp point, I would have to really dig in this area over here, which doesn't make sense because it doesn't happen when you're fidgeting with it normally, right? So virtually no hotspots, as I was saying. Everything is nicely chamfered and it's been polished. So you can actually tell that the edges are not really that hard, you know? It's not like a hard, super sharp edge. It's been polished. So it's a very, very nice, polished, rounded kind of edge. And I think that the amount of work that's gone into this is actually pretty solid. Now, these things inside here, I will stand corrected again. I know I corrected myself. These are not stickers. This is a different finish. I don't know how that's achieved. I think that this is some kind of a media blasting finish. And then after that, everything else was polished. So, you know, good job. And you can actually see the machining marks on the inside slots if you guys actually look at it, or maybe even here. You can see some minor machining marks. So you know that this was really nicely polished. So good job to Stealth Spinners for doing that. Like I was saying, for the price point, you get this kind of quality for a spinner. It's just really, really good value for money. It is heavy. It is a tri-spinner. It's designed to get long spins because from the middle core going out, all the weight is thrown out this way, and the weight is thrown out here as well because of these raised edges. Yeah, not by much because it's actually flat on the inside, but inside here on the blasted finish, that area is actually more raised than this. It's actually higher up than the main frame of the body itself. And I'm actually really pleasantly surprised after looking at it in person, realizing that there's so much that was put into this one particular spinner and still being able to keep the price low. This is awesome, man. So good job, Max, and good job, Stealth Spinners, for this. This is pretty darn impressive. So let's talk about fidgetability now. With the index finger and thumb grip over here, this is a very nice area for your finger to rest against. There's a nice deep slot here, so it's good for your finger. Whether you're going to pull back or you're going to push forward, it's going to be really easy. And because these edges here are nicely chamfered, you actually don't feel any discomfort whatsoever. Forward flicks, pullbacks. Even when I perform preloaded flicks on the Aventador, most of the time I actually perform it this way. Look, let me get that right position. Yeah, right here. I actually have my fourth finger out here and my middle finger up here. And this, to me, is like super comfortable using two fingers instead of just one, like that, instead of just one. Because if I use just one finger, which is my middle finger, it'll be higher up here, which is not a problem at all. But I actually get a more satisfying pull when I actually use two fingers. So that's just for me, guys. Forward flicks, pullbacks, no problem. Now changing up the grip to the middle finger and thumb grip. On the fourth finger, it's the same, but this guy is a little bit more hefty, so it's gonna take a little bit more effort from your fourth finger if you guys are not used to using your fourth finger, okay? But with the index finger, push forwards, pull backs, no problems at all. Whether or not you're inside here or you are up here, it's not going to be a problem. The only thing is if you land here, then you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable doing a forward flick because up here is kind of narrow, so you don't really get that much of a resting spot for your finger. But so far, no problems with this at all, as you guys can see. My favorite way of fidgeting with this, of course, is the index finger and thumb grip and performing preloaded flicks. This is my favorite because it just spins for so long. It's like I told you guys, inertia, man. It's the inertia. It just doesn't want to stop. And the fact is that I actually put in these extra brass inserts just makes this slightly heavier, and I'm really, really enjoying the weight. It's not too heavy, and something that I really, really enjoy. It's not too heavy now. I think that I've brought it up to maybe about close to 100 grams. Now, originally, this spinner was weighing in at 85 grams, which is still something that is of a comfortable weight for myself. You guys already know I like something between 60 grams to about 100 or 120 grams. But originally, it being 85, and then now me adding these extra brass inserts, I think I've taken it up to almost close to 100 grams. So, something that I still really enjoy. Now, of course, with every spinner, you guys know that I will try my best to find a detractor point or a negative point about it. And what I don't like about the spinner, the thing that I don't like the most is actually the buttons. Now, the buttons kind of pale in comparison with the rest of the spinner. It doesn't look like any part of the spinner at all because it's so rounded. And it's a different finish versus here versus outside here. It's just a different finish altogether. Plus, I think the biggest detractor for me is that these buttons are, well, not as concave as, say, for example, the Origin 1.5 buttons or maybe even the Kong buttons by Fidget HQ. These are actually the same kind of button profile as those that you would find on the Spinnetic spinners. Now, these are the classic buttons. Don't get me wrong though, the buttons are awesome. They are perfectly fine, and I think that they are really, really good buttons. Just the buttons alone. But in this combination with the button and this kind of a weight, this kind of a design for a spinner, I think that, you know, this button being such a, I guess, not so concaved kind of design is not really good because, you know, it doesn't really give you enough grip. Now, I mentioned that Spinnetic Spinners actually has the same kind of button profile, right? Yes, they actually do, but the thing about Spinnetic Spinners is that they actually have more laser etching here, so that actually provides a little bit more grip versus just the Stealth Spinners logo, which actually isn't very deep of a laser etching anyway, so it still feels very smooth. So if you guys are into pinch grips, you know, I think you have to apply a bit more pressure, but if you guys are into this kind of a, what do you call this? What do you call this grip? If this is a pinch grip, this is a what? I don't know what this is called. Anyway, I won't get into those kind of technical details. I just hold my spinners this way most of the time. I actually feel myself having to put a little bit more pressure this way, just slightly a little bit more, which kind of makes it uncomfortable. And over extended periods of time, it will lead to more finger fatigue or hand fatigue because I'm actually putting pressure this way and then pulling really hard because of the weight of the spinner as well, that inertia. So it's a give and take, guys. If you really want to swap out buttons, a lot of us actually have multiple buttons as well. We got different button sets, you know, so you just upgrade the buttons to something bigger or something with a little bit more grip and you'll be good to go. That's the only thing I would say about this spinner. Apart from that, I think it's really good value for money. So my final verdict, guys, once again, this is the Stealth Spinners Aventador. The hardcore stainless steel version comes with Super Stealth R188 hybrid ceramic bearings, hardcore polished stainless steel finish, as you guys can see. Gets anything between 5 to 7 minute plus spin times. You guys already know how much spin time I'm getting because of the spin time video in the corner. This is a long spinner in my books. It weighs about 3 ounces and 85 grams in the stock version. And the best part of it all is that it costs just 55 USD, guys. In my opinion, 55 USD for a spinner like this, minus away the brass inserts, it's a steal. Look at that finish, guys. That finish, that detail, that design for 55. Such a long spinner, it's really worth it. So after handling it, I can easily see why this is one of the best sellers over at Stealth Spinners, and really kudos to them. So good job. Once again, a big shout out to Max for sending this over to me. I'm really enjoying it right now. And last but not least, I'll just give you guys a really quick size comparison between it and a stubby, because I know I've did it before, but I just want to do it again for this video. So here we go. It's definitely longer in terms of profile against a stubby. That's about it, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing in this slice of my life with me. As always, links in the video description below. Make sure you go check them out. Stealth Spinners, the Stealth Spinners Facebook page. I'll even put a link to the Daily Fidget because I'm always active there. Actually, I'm more active there than most other forums. Sorry, Spin Space, I love you, but I'm on Spin Space and the Daily Fidget most of the time. One more thing I would put forward in this video is that this spinner, a lot of people have reported it to be really smooth. So what happened to mine is that I actually received what is called a defect. So if you actually experience defects on your spinner, please hit up Stealth Spinners or Max and I know that they'll get it sorted. That's the thing about it. Customer service is really top notch from Stealth Spinners. So I tip my hat off to you guys, man. Even for a review piece, Max actually felt bad that I got a so-called defect. I don't really think it's much of a defect because I think that it's going to be really difficult to always get every single spinner perfectly balanced and centered. But the fact that he reached out shows his sincerity. So if you guys actually purchase one of these and you realize that there's a defect in terms of the weight, balance and stuff like that, make sure you hit them up, okay? Make sure you hit them up. The last thing I will say about this is if you guys are interested in getting one of these, really it boils down to whether or not the design appeals to you. For me, it's so-so. I gotta admit that I made myself like it even more because I've actually installed these brass inserts over here. You know, I just wanted to be fair and just be upfront with you guys. The design originally did not really appeal to me. Even until now, honestly speaking, it's not that fantastic in my opinion, but I know that a lot of you are gonna love it. And I'm saying all of this because for 55 USD, it's got everything else going for it. The only other factor that you guys have to decide upon is whether or not you like the design. That's all. It's something that's really subjective. But in terms of the quality, the standard, everything else for 55, go for it. It's my opinion. Yep. It's a wonderful tri-spinner, gets long spin times and all of that. I hope that I provided enough information to help you guys decide whether or not the Aventador hardcore stainless steel version is a spinner for you. Don't forget that they actually have the Aventador in brass and they actually have it in electroplated black as well. I'm not sure if those are available at this point of time, but just know that they are available. There also is a bar version of it known as the B2. Alright guys, I'll catch y'all in the next slice of my life. Thanks, bye!